How can we know that God adores us? Do you know that God adores you? That's the topic we're going to be addressing today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. Today, I have a very gracious guest with me. Her name is Elizabeth Bristol. She's an author, an educator, and a speaker who writes about her experience overcoming people-pleasing, abuse, and neglect through Christ-centered care. God met Elizabeth right in the middle of her mess and loved her more than she felt like she deserved. Now she's on a mission to help others understand his love for them. Welcome, Elizabeth. I am so honored to have you on Flourish-Meant today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my favorite topics, right? Talking about how God loves us. I've been on a podcast tour talking about some of my writing, and it seems like we often talk about the hard stuff. So it's so exciting to focus and frame everything with God's love, because what a difference when we know that someone loves us as much as only God can. Because aren't we more willing to hear what he has to say?
Yes, and it is something that we innately need is to feel loved. And
Agreed.
yet, in our experience, as you know from your bio, your experience was not one that helped you
No.
experience that at home. So can you talk about that journey of
Yeah.
seeking love, seeking feeling loved, and how you found that through
In all
Christ?
those wrong places, right? I
Yeah.
did. I grew up in and my parents took me to church, and something just did not connect yet for me there. I loved the people that I met there. I loved the special events that we did, and even hearing about God. I wasn't mad at God or anything, but somehow it just wasn't, something did not click. So I kind of had one of those spiraling out of control experiences with the drugs and the alcohol and the boys. And it wasn't until I really did give God a chance that I found out how cool he was and how real he is and how much he wants to be a part of our lives. And when we let him do that, it's just amazing to me, because he wants to help us. He wants to tell us great and unsearchable things we do not know. And his wisdom is just, you can't get that anywhere else. It always, always, always comes from a place from real unconditional love. People can't do that even if they want to, right? And so once I got to know God like that, it made me want more and want more for everybody too. Don't you want to share something like that?
Yes, it's what everybody is really deeply needing the most. And yet
Agreed.
we have this barrier because our world is broken. We all experience shame, we experience trauma. Can you talk about how sometimes those things can get in the way of us really experiencing God's goodness in our lives?
Exactly. Where we just get caught up in that rather than looking to him. I too had all the, date rape and abortion, went through a lot of things with those, looking for love in the wrong places. And yet God can use even those things. And that's what really amazed me, that he really just can take our worst things and really work them together for our good. It's a miracle that only God can do. Again, makes me want it for everyone once I've experienced it myself.
Can you speak to that listener who might be in that place where they're still experiencing the shame and the
Yeah.
woundedness of having
Yeah.
gone through trauma in their lives, and they don't quite understand how God can use that for good?
Yes. 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 I mean, we all struggle, don't we? Like, there's just no way we can go through this life without having struggles. And what I've seen too is, that kind of pain is universal. And a lot of the ways to deal with our pain is also universal. I've got something we can talk about later, a freebie for anyone who, like you're talking about, is a listener right now that needs someone to hold their hand and help them with that. Because no matter what crisis we've been through, there are certain things that we all need. We all need forgiveness, right? We all need, sometimes we need to apologize. Sometimes we need to own our bad and just let God wipe that slate clean for us. There's just some simple things like that that basically, no matter what we're going through, we all need.
What about people who struggle with believing God is good because bad things have happened in their
Oh
lives
my
or to
word.
their loved ones?
Right? That is such a common thing. We hear that so often. And as I started to get to know God, the first place I did go looking for him, just again to get the truth, was the Bible, right? And the Bible says, in life you are going to have many trials. It doesn't say we're not going to. And so it's one of those things that I think keeps too many people away from God because they expect something that just isn't true. Where instead, when we go to him in the word, he shows us truthfully how to get the exact help that we need. Like he doesn't tell us we're not going to have trials. He uses them to mature us. He uses them to help us endure other things. And I know it doesn't sound like the way we wish he did it. But it is the way that this world works. And so, wouldn't we like to have his help? And once you know that his help comes from only a place of love and you get to know him in that way, it just made me want to know his wisdom and advice more and more. And he knows how to not only help us go through a problem, but I'm always amazed the way he's so multidimensional, the way he will bless me in something and direct me to deal with it in a way that it also blesses the other people around me. And so the healthy ways of dealing with things, it's just, I really needed his hand to help me step by step and learn how to do that. And so again, that's what I love to share through my writing.
So the presence of evil and suffering in our lives does not contradict the power of God's love. It does not mean God doesn't love
No.
us exactly. I was trying to figure out a way to say that without doing a double negative, but there really isn't. So, but God loves us, and his evidence of loving us can be there brighter than the darkness. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Yes. And I actually, when I knew I was coming to speak to you about this, I decided to kind of ask a lot of my friends because again, sometimes people might think, "Oh, that's your experience with God," and don't think it's going to work that way for them. And so I really had fun asking this question of inviting my friends like, "How do you know God loves you?" And I have a 93-year-old pastor friend of mine, and he said, because he fulfills the deepest cry of my heart to be loved and accepted. And I'm like, oh my word, bingo, right? And then I have a homeless friend that I've known for years. And again, his perspective is always fascinating to me because I have a home, right? And I said to him, how do you know that God loves you? And he said, because I have everything I need. He said, and now I know that my wants only got in the way. I mean, it just kind of blew my mind. Another friend struggles with brain cancer and a clotting disorder. And I said, how do you know God loves you? And she said, by God's grace and love for me, I am alive for another day. I'm like, oh my word. And one friend, I love this one too, because I love his mysterious ways. And she said, I a lot of times see X's, she said, and I think it's a Greek sign for Christ. And she said, like the morning of the day my husband's daddy passed, he was one of my best friends and he lived in another state. And we were heading there that morning. I stepped outside and I saw the largest X I'd ever seen right over my house, written in the sky by jets. I felt so much love and peace, even though he passed a few hours later while we were on the road. And so, one of those things I just adore about God's love is he can use it all, right? He can use skywriting by jets in the sky to speak directly to our hearts. And he knows that that would speak to her, the X's. I've seen X's in the sky written by jets, but it didn't do the same thing to me, right? And so it's just amazing how personal God can be when we let him and we look for him in that way.
Elizabeth, how can people get a copy of your book and stay connected with you so they can continue to hear this inspiration and access the resources that you offer to support people on their journey of healing and hope?
Oh, I would love to connect with them. I have a website that's my name, Elizabeth B. Bristol.com. And there if they like, they can sign up. I have a spiritual adventure team. So I do short weekly emails with different cool God stories and little things that I've learned that have helped me that I hope to share with other people. And I have a link there for my book and also through Amazon. The book is called Marry Me, One Woman's Incredible Adventure with God. And God gave me that title one Christmas as a Christmas present. I was very much like the sisters in the Bible, Mary and Martha. Martha's a busy girl, and that was me. And he married me by helping me become more like Mary, to sit with him and to spend time with him one on one. And of course, as women, I think so often we long to hear that, right? Marry me. And he really is the best partner. So I love that. I love that special gift from him.
And you had a gift that you were offering, a free download with
Yes.
specific tips.
Yes, that one is on the website. There'll be a little box that will pop up, and if people are interested, what the freebie is a little video series, and it's like four different videos, just a couple minutes each day. And what it does is, again, is helps to walk them through a healing for any kind of wounding they have. And like for me, I write pretty maybe I hope not graphically in the book, but really detailed about some of the hard things I went through, having been date raped or gone through an abortion. Because I think one of the biggest things is when we put words to our pain, that's the beginning of the healing. So I try to share mine and in hopes of helping other people, maybe to put words for someone else's story that's having a hard time even. So the video, takes the person through four different steps of healing.
In this second portion of our conversation with Elizabeth Bristol, I would like to get into some practical details of how we can feel God's love. Do you have any practical ways we can begin that?
Absolutely. I think the simplest thing is to begin to make time for God. And that may very well look different for different people. Like certainly some people do like to grab a cup of coffee and sit down on the couch, but other people don't like to be still that long. And sometimes I have my best conversations with God when I'm out walking the dog or I'm cooking dinner or taking a long drive, because somehow my mind is focused on the road maybe when I'm driving, and he can sort of get a word in edgewise when for someone like me who talks a lot, he might not always get to otherwise. So yeah, to make time for him, I think is really big. And I often journal because again, when you get some good ideas, you want to save them. So journaling is another good one.
So, spending time with Jesus is a way of
Hmm.
experiencing his love, and then making sure you get your thoughts and your heart out onto the
Hmm.
paper, not just dealing with it internally, but making it tangible. Anything else
Right.
that you would recommend to those who are really seeking to feel loved by God?
Healthy relationship kind of things that I didn't really I used to hate to apologize, Tina. Sometimes I would intentionally almost not do something because I knew I'd have to apologize for it. And in this process of getting to know God, it really is some of those simple things that he has helped me to learn how to do, to find healing and to learn how to be in healthier relationships with people. So again, I think they're universal. The other day I was with my friend. We garden at Plymouth Plantation, and I was hot. It was really hot. And I said, you know what, after this row, can we just be done? She said, I think we need to finish up what we said we were going to do. And so we finished up. And sure enough, on the way home, I said, I am so sorry. I did not mean to tell you what to do. I just was really feeling hot and tired. And so again, at that simple apology that has made my relationships healthier has come from God showing me how to do that kind of thing. So yeah, sitting with him and letting him guide and direct us within our relationships is a big one for me.
Expressing apology and accepting forgiveness is one of the hardest
Yeah,
things that we can
huge.
do. Can you talk a little bit about how that really opens us up to experiencing God's love when we do that?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, Tina. It really does bring a wall down, doesn't it? Even just like between a person, if we have a place where we need to forgive, it puts something between us, that barrier between us. And when we sit with the Lord and just be real with him, just admit, you know what, I screwed up. I did wrong. It's really funny how the wall just immediately comes down because God totally wants to forgive us. All we have to do is ask, and he totally is right there, willing and able to help us break free from the pain, to help us cope with what we're dealing with, to give us these great ideas. And so coming to him and just sitting and being real with him about who I am and what I've done wrong. Again, I cannot believe how freeing that has been. And forgiving other people, like you said, forgiveness is massive. Sometimes I will sit down at the end of the day and just kind of go through in my mind everything that I would be tempted to hang on to. Those little teeny things that you get frustrated with someone. When you just, Lord, I forgive this person for that, it again is a hugely freeing thing that I really had no idea before I started doing it.
So, are there some other tips that you would like to
Yeah.
offer listeners about experiencing God's love?
Again, one of those easy things to do. If you're ever having a bad day, go to the back of your Bible and look up the word love. As we were getting ready to talk about this, I went and did that. And it was so amazing just to soak in those promises that he tells us, just to sit there and let it wash over you, that God is patient, God is kind, God does not insist on his own way, right? He's not irritable, he's not resentful. You are precious in his eyes because he loves you. And sometimes just kind of letting that wash over you, letting him remind you. And I don't know about you, but I can have read that Bible, that verse 100 times. And for some reason, some days I open it up and it speaks in a whole new way to me, and they become lifesavers, right? I mean, sometimes it's that one liner that you want to write it out on an index card and carry it through your day, so you keep reminding yourself just those promises that he's given us.
I get the sense that somebody out there might be thinking, as I have before, and you may have too, this is all well and good for everyone else, but God's love doesn't apply to me. I don't deserve it. I'm the
Oh,
exception. How many of us have
oh,
felt that? So, can you address that?
yeah. Oh my word, I totally get it. Because like you said, I think it's all of us, right? I think at one time or another, we feel like the outsider, we feel like the one left behind or judged, I was thinking of two different people in our lives. And I think we've all experienced this, where you have one person who just doesn't have our back, and you have another friend who tries to, who loves us the best they can. And God is far beyond that. He created you, Tina. He loves you. He knit you together in your mother's womb. He knows you better than you know yourself. And I just want to say that to each listener. Again, he loves you more than anybody else possibly could. But you know what? I would do the same thing. I would take my journal, and sometimes I just write all that ugliness out, because again, I have it, you have it. It's very real for evil try to attack us in that same way. And I just spill my guts sometimes and just be honest with them, because again, God already knows, right? But sometimes just to put it into words myself and own that and let it all out on the page, and then to sit again and let him speak to us, let him tell us those great and unsearchable things we do not know, because he knows exactly what will speak to our hearts. He knows if we're looking for X's in the sky. He knows those things, and he does want to interact with each one of us, but sometimes we just need to give him the space to do that.
Mm. Are there any other final tips or insights that you want to make sure listeners
Mm.
know about how God adores them?
Yeah, that is the thing. Every single time that I go to speak somewhere, I try to sit down again and say, okay, God, what is it you want me to say? And I could hear him say, make sure of what, God? Like, make sure. And, totally forgetting the last 100 times he said this to me, but he always wants me to make sure I tell them that he loves them. Like that really is even more important to God than it is to us, that he really wants us to know that he loves us. And when we finally get that, like dog with a bone, you can't take that away from me, right? We're much more willing to hear the other things that he has to say for us. And he wants to, he has great plans for us, plans for a future and a hope. He has plans to bless us and prosper us. So the more we understand that it comes from a place of love, and the more we're willing to listen to those things he's going to tell us, we'll walk into a destiny that he had before the beginning of time. And we will not be able to help influencing our world because we'll be following him. He makes us look really good, Tina, doesn't he? When we do what he's asked us to do, sometimes people will say, oh, how did you know to call me right now? Well, I didn't, but I just felt a nudge. And so, I'll just say that was just God. And he knows those things to prompt us with. And when we learn how to listen for him and do them, again, that friend tells people all the time, she knows when to call me right when I need a call. And I love that she thinks that of me, but I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for God. So he really just wants to tell us those great and unsearchable things we do not know so we can partner with him and not only experience his unconditional love, but offer that to the people around us. How fun is that?
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, how can people get more of this wonderful richness of God's love from your website, your book, and all of the resources that you have to offer, Elizabeth?
Yes, please come visit me. I would love to interact with you. I have a website, elizabethbbristol.com. And so through that, you can sign up for my spiritual adventure team where I do weekly short emails. You could find my book there. It's listed on Amazon. It's all about the beginnings of how I did come into this relationship with God because it is hard, isn't it? I don't mean to say it like it's just simple and this is all you do. It takes a while to get to know God. And so I write about all those beginning steps that got me here. And I would love to share that with other readers. That's exciting. Thank you, Tina.
Yes, and you have a gift for people who want videos on specific
Mhm.
ways. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
I do. What I find is that we all have painful parts of our past, right? There's not one of us that escapes that. And in that, we all need healing. I really didn't even understand that. In fact, I started to write the book and I thought I was going to tell all these cool stories that God, that I knew about. Everyone would say, oh, you got to write a book. That was so cool. You were in Africa or working on the Caribbean or doing these things. But what I didn't know is God was going to prompt me to write the stories I wasn't going to tell. And those were the harder ones from my past of losing my virginity on a date rape and choosing to have an abortion when I was 17 and the men I thought I was going to marry. What God did was he took me back to these people to go and talk to them and brought healing through that. And so the freebie, the video series that you're talking about is when you sign up on my website for the freebie, it's 4 short videos, 3 to 5 minutes each one. And it again helps the listeners to walk with me and God through the healing if they've had something similar. Again, no matter what we've experienced, we all need the same thing. We all need to have forgiveness from our the things we've done wrong. We all need to hear what the enemy, what the evil one, the lies he was telling us, and letting God speak to us truthfully and show us what he wants to say to us to bring that healing and the freedom that we all need.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Elizabeth. I hope that all of you listening were encouraged and now feel at least that first step toward feeling
Yeah.
loved by God. And of course, I also hope that you will subscribe and come back for the next episode of Flourishment.
Absolutely.
Flourishment is part of the Spark Media Network and can be found on the Edify app.